So let's just define maximum extractable value. So maximum extractable value. And we're going to represent this as M. MEV is a little confusing. So we're going to do ME little v. So MEV, maximum extractable value. And what this means is the most amount of money, and then money is subjective, so I'm going to put a star over it. Most amount of money that can be pulled out. Of a token. So let's just break this down a little bit more and kind of explain what exactly this means. So if we have a liquidity histogram, I'm going to change the color up a little bit here just to make it a little clearer. Let's do black for it, but we'll add more colors. We'll add more colors. And if you guys can't hear me, I know I'm kind of soft-spoken right now, but if you can't hear me, just let me know. So let's just imagine we have an LP histogram right here. So LP histo. And by the way, if anything that I talk about starts to go over your head or you don't quite understand the concepts that I'm saying, go to my liquidity providing series on my channel, and it's going to teach you all of the information you need to know to be able to understand what I'm talking about. When I do these chats, I'm going to be talking kind of really stream of consciousness, and I'm going to be moving very fast. And so it's going to require you to have done a little bit of research and homework on your end to understand everything that I'm talking about in real time as I talk about it. But if you have questions on what I'm talking about, just throw it in the chat and let me know. And I'll be happy to explain it as it comes. All right. So we have an LP histogram, and let's say this is of a V2 liquidity histogram. So V2 is going to be in blue. And as you know, for V2, its spread if over here is 0 to infinity. We know that V2 is spread evenly across all potential prices that exist. And so if red is where the current price is, right here, and in this example, we have, so example 1, we have $10,000 of liquidity in this pool. That means, and actually, you know what? I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this color to help us differentiate things. I'm going to make this one green, I think, if I can. Let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. Perfect. All right. So example number 1 is we have $10,000 of liquidity in the pool. So what that means is, and let's just say this is token X versus token. Let's use real world examples. I think that would be best. So let's say the two tokens are, let's do Pulse, PLS, and DAI. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and move this all down a little bit so that we can see a little bit better. Okay. So on the left is DAI and on the right is Pulse. And what I mean by that is if this price goes this way, that's Pulse going up in price. And if the price goes this way, that's Pulse going down in price. Okay. So that's the setup of this first example of liquidity. And so with the first example, we have 5K liquidity, 5K worth of Pulse on this end, and we have 5K worth of DAI on this end. And so if we assume that this is the only liquidity pool that exists for all of Pulse, which we know isn't true, but for the sake of example and to make it easier to understand, just assume this is all the liquidity that we have. Well, in that case, we might have, in that case, our maximum extractable liquidity, so our, let's change that to green. So our maximum extractable liquidity here is actually going to be 5K. So our ME, and I'm going to be moving a little slow, guys, so please forgive me. But our MEV equals 5K. Now, why is that? Why does it equal 5K here? Well, in this case, if we go back to our definition, it's the most amount of money that can be pulled out of a specific coin. So in this case, and we're going to say actually money equals X. And we're going to say coin equals Y. So in our scenario down here, pulse is Y, DAI is X. Because in this specific scenario, what we're considering money is DAI, and this makes sense, it's a stable coin, and what we're considering the coin is pulse. So if we look at that, the most amount of money that can be pulled out of a coin is dictated by what's in the liquidity pool. And if it's dictated by what's in the liquidity pool, and this is the only liquidity pool that exists, all of the X that's on this side, it gets calculated into MEV. So in another way, another you can say it is MEV equals the dollar value of X. Okay, so that's what it equals. It equals the MEV equals the dollar value of X. You could also represent this as number of X tokens if you're pricing this, say, in like an altcoin versus Pulse. So the way in which you define MEV can be simplified in this way, and you can add layers of complexity. But it's the fact that this is Pulse versus DAI actually makes this a very makes this much easier to understand. Okay. So MEV equals the dollar value of X or the number of tokens of X. In this case, because in our example, it's a stable coin, 5K DAI, $5,000 worth of DAI is 5,000 DAI tokens. So MEV equals 5K or 5,000 DAI tokens. Okay. All right. So that's the initial setup, and this is pretty straightforward. And now let's add a level of complexity on top of that. So I'm going to add another color. I'm going to add pink. And let's go to example number 2. Okay. In this case, we have 10K of liquidity in V2, 10K V2, and let's say we have let's see how much I want to say. Let's say we have 5K in V3. Okay, so we have 5K in V3, but this V3 is a single-sided, what's a better way of saying this? A single-sided position. So I'm going to do single-sided position. Equals SS, or actually, no, let's just do SP. So equals SP. Okay. So 5K V3 is in a single-sided position, and that position is 100% below price. So if we were to look at what that means, it's 100% below price, and it's from 0 to the current price. So current price, CP, which is this red right here. So this is CP, current price. And let's actually change that to black. That's going to make it a lot easier. Whoops. So red, current price, black, CP. And CP equals current price. Okay. Just curious. Oh, we got some more viewers flowing in. Guys, if you say hi to me in the chat, make me feel like I'm not talking to myself in a empty room. All right, and actually, I'm gonna post this just one more chat. See if we can get a couple people to roll on in. All right. So okay, where are we at? So we have V2, and then we're gonna have V3. This is gonna be represented by, let's say, hey, DJ Bomber in the house. What's up, buddy? Thanks for making me feel less lonely. I appreciate it, dog. Let's do it as yellow. Okay. All right. So we have yellow, and then we're going to add this onto the histogram. So we still have the, oh, that's a bad color. Let's do, what color haven't I used yet? done green, done blue. Let's do orange. Let's do a dark orange. Make that perfect. Okay, so V3, that's better. So V3, this is in the orange is going to represent the V3 histogram. So we're overlaying the V2 histogram and the V3 histogram over top of each other. So there's either two separate liquidity pools, and that is from 0 to infinity, 0 to the current price. So it's all of this liquidity is right here, and this is 5K. Okay. So we have 5K of DAI on the left side of the current price, which is, and we have 5 in the V2 pool, and we have 5K of DAI on the left side from the V3 pool. So if we go to our MEV formula, and we'll go back to pink, zoom out a little bit, so I have some space. And if we go back to here, what we'll see, if we just run this through our formula, so in this case, MEV EV equals the dollar value of X. X is DAI in this case. And so in this scenario, we have 5K of DAI in one pool, 5K of DAI in the other pool. So our MEV is now 10K. All right. So we have the MEV of 10K. And also we got Tony PJ in the house. Top of the morning to you, sir. Iron Freedom has a question. Is PulseChain at all? Pulse pumps, would Hedron pump too? We'll get to that later. I'm going to continue this train of thought, and then I'll get back to your question, brother. But thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Okay, so now our MEV has gone up to 10K. So now if we look at these two scenarios, MEV has gone up because DAI has gone up as well. So let's go to an example number 3, and we're going to do red for this one. 3. And in this scenario, what if we had 10K value? And well, all I'm trying to say is if we had another position that was 5K, a single-sided position, 100% above price, and we had all of these two as well. So we have the 10K, the 5K, and then we had added another 5K on top of it. So it would then be over here. In this case, our MEV would still be 10K because that liquidity hasn't added any, this liquidity right here, this 5K of PLS that's added onto the right side, isn't actually providing extractable value. So that's an increase in the quoted liquidity that you would see on like Dex Screener, but it's not an increase in maximum extractable value. And so why is this? So that's like a breakdown of what maximum extractable value is and kind of how you can find it. But like, why is this important? Well, let's say for the sake of example, we had a token that had liquidity. So total liquidity, total LP equals say 500 grand, 500K. But our MEV for this pool is say 50 grand, right? And let's assume the market cap equals $10 million. Now, when I mean market cap, what I mean is, you know the formula for market cap, number of tokens times the price. And so let's just assume 100% of the supply is distributed to market participants. And if it's distributed to market participants, what this means is that there is $10 million that people think they have. Right? So if you added up the value of all of the holders, there's $10 million. Now, total LP, if you looked on Debt Screener, says 500K. And if you're just looking at that number, you're like, okay, well, there's $500,000 relative to this 10 mil. That's maybe not so bad, but it's not super great. But if we take a deeper look into the maximum extractable value, this is only 50K. So if we take the maximum extractable value, actually, let's do market cap. If we do the market cap over the maximum extractable value, we get a number very small. So we get a number that is, in this scenario, much less than 1. And what that means is that, I'm sorry, much greater than 1, because 10 million divided by 50K is a number greater than 1. So it's really, really greater than 1. And that means that there is more money that people think that they have versus what's backed by this value. Now, if people were to sell these 10 million coins, the price would start going down. So this total LP would start to go down, and so would this MEV. But as they sell, the price is going down, so they have to sell more and more and more to get the same dollar value out. That's like the definition of price going down. And so, ideally, we want this number to be as low as possible, because what that means is that if it's really, really low, that means that the amount of money that people think that they have is actually backed by money in the liquidity pool. And this creates a really interesting scenario. So if we take this graph, and this is really the graph that I wanted to show you guys. This is the big thing. Also, DJ and Dougie in the house. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Hey, thank you for the crowd. Congratulations. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So, and this is really the crux of what I wanted to show you, this graph right here. So if we take into consideration everything I talked about all the way up here and all the way over here, and we look at this graph, and on the x-axis, the y-axis, we have percent slippage. And on the x-axis, we have, what's the x-axis again? It's like either number of coins. Yeah, number of coins sold. Number of coins sold. Okay. So if the number of coins sold and the percent slip, and again, what slippage is, it's just the difference between what the amount of money that you have before you execute a trade and the amount of money you have after executing a trade. So the difference between that is your slippage. So if you try to sell $10,000 and you get $9,000 in return after the trade, because you moved price down by selling it, the tokens are worth less, and the worth of your tokens has gone down as you're doing your trade. And so you end up losing paper value due to that differential in price due to you moving the price as you sell. Excuse me. And so in that scenario where you're trying to sell $10,000 worth of Pulse, but you get 9,000 DAI back, your slippage is 10%, because the difference between what you had at the beginning and what you had at the end was 10% of what you had at the beginning. And so what you see typically when with slippage and number of coins sold, it's a sigmoidal curve. And what that means is that, and that's just a fancy word for an S curve. So your percent slippage will start low. The less coins you sell, the less slippage you have because you're selling less money. And then it has this exponential part where the number of coins sold goes up and your slippages start going up. And then over here, then eventually it levels out and becomes asymptotic at a level. And funny enough, the level that it becomes asymptotic at, we do this blue line. So this right here, this dotted line, this is the horizontal line that's asymptotic to. And what that means is that this red line will approach this blue line, but this red line will approach the blue line but never actually touch it. And that makes sense for AMMs because you can never completely remove all of one coin by buying and selling. The way the math works out, there's always coins to be bought or sold, especially when you have V2. V3 is a little different, but for V2 it's definitely true, and even for V3 it's kind of true to a degree. But it's just going to get, the price is just going to continue to go down and down and down and down and down and down and down, but it'll never actually go to zero because there'll always be something to be exchanged. Funny enough, that the level that's it's asymptotic at is, to a degree, the MEV, the maximum extractable value. And why is that? Because the maximum extractable value is the coins that are backing, or the cash or the money that's backing the other coin that you're trading out of. This works the other way too, but I think selling really gets the point across with this concept. And so that MEV, now this is on a percent slippage, and MEV is a dollar value or token amount. So the the units aren't exactly the same, but that percent slippage is going to level out at that MEV. And we could add another x-axis, y-axis on here technically. I guess if we want to make this completely accurate. So we bring this over and we'll make another one here. And then this one over here, which is for the blue. This is going to be like, I guess technically it's number of, it's in our case, it's stables or cash removed, right? So you cannot remove more than the MEV because that's the most that's in there, right? And it becomes asymptotic at that point. So as the number of coins gets sold, which as it goes up, the number of stables that's removed also goes up. And that makes sense because you're selling, you're putting in pulse and you're removing DAI. So the number of stables removed is going up. And the point at which it hits MEV, that percent slippage curve becomes asymptotic at that exact level if you chart all three of these axes at the same time. Now this curve, let's see, where am I going next with this? This curve right here is pretty typical for most coins. And the reason why is because as you sell more coins, well, let me take a step back. There are three stages to this curve: the beginning stage, the middle stage, and the end stage. So this middle phase, phase one, so P1, P2, and then P3. So P1 is basically low slippage, good order execution. P2 is high slippage, poor execution, and P3 is actually. Oh, I actually had this wrong a little bit. Hold on. The percent slippage. No, this is right. The percent slippage does go up. But the volatility. No, the volatility. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking through all this stuff in my head, but I want to do it live, making sure I have this right. Is this the best way to explain this? Okay, no, I don't think this is the best way to explain this. Never mind. Basically, with this curve, what I'm trying to show you is that at the beginning, when you're selling small amounts, you don't affect the price as much. You don't slip the price as much. But eventually, you hit this point where as you continue to add coins, the amount of slippage is going up and up and up because you're diving in and you're taking out those stables that are backing out at a maybe not a faster rate, but like it's requiring more coins to be able to remove more of those stables. And so that's really what you're looking for. What is that point? What is that point where things change right here? How much money can I pull out right here before the price starts going up really, really high? And ideally, in this first phase, this P1 phase, we want it to be as far to the right as possible. So the further we can get this move out, so the longer this trend can go, and let's do this in green, the longer we can pull out this bottom one before it starts to go up like this, the better, because that means there are more coins that we can sell into it. And when you're early to a coin, this MEV is actually going to be pretty low because it takes time for liquidity to build. And when liquidity is building, the people who have a lot of tokens at the beginning aren't able to sell all of them in order to get the quoted value. It's like kind of the idea of like you create a token, you create 1 trillion tokens, and you put one in a liquidity pool with one DAI, and now you have $1 trillion market cap. Well, if you sold all 1 trillion of those coins, it wouldn't be worth $1 anymore. And that's kind of the idea. But what if instead of, selling one to make it go down 50%, if you could sell 10,000 to make it go down 50%, you're now in a better situation. You have more backing dollar value. You have a higher MEV. And so that's essentially the point that I want to get across. You want to find coins not that you want to find coins in, you want to know how much money can actually be taken out of an ecosystem at any given time. And you want to juxtapose that against where that coin is in its current life cycle in of itself. Is it an older coin? Is it a new coin? Like Like, because when you have a low MEV, you're taking on more risk because people are fighting. People think they have a lot of money, but they're really fighting for a small bit of money. Or I'm not going to say fighting because that makes it adversarial. They're sharing. They're sharing a pool of money, and that pool of money is small. So if anybody wants to cash in their chips, they're going to run the price down pretty quick. And so if you have a higher MEV, you could take that as a lower risk token, and a lower MEV is a higher risk token for all the reasons that I've described. So high MEV, a high MEV V equals lower risk, a low MEV equals high risk. And I think if I wanted to distill down everything that I'm trying to say in this video into one like phrase or one heuristic, it's this. Now, risk is not always bad. Sometimes it's good to have outsized returns. And so the other side of this has to do with the right side of on the Pulse side in terms of the pumpability of the token. But right now we're just talking about the sell side. The other side works with how much Pulse is on the right side and how fast you can buy up the token. And so, you know, you have to juxtapose it in that way too. And maybe I'll describe that in another video. But yeah, high MEV, low risk, low MEV, high risk. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that you should know. Some of the coins, I'm not going to talk about which ones, but some of the coins that I was looking at today, you know, I like a lot, but I found that their MEV was a little bit lower than I thought. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm carrying a little bit more risk in this token or than I initially thought that it was. And it just changed the way that I thought about how it fits into my portfolio. And it helps you like decide when to take profits. I mean, if you have a low MEV, right, and you have a high risk, and you get like, you know, 100x on the token, it may be worth taking out like, you know, 10 to 20% of the token because you know that some of that quoted dollar value that you have at that given time can be wiped out pretty quickly by somebody else cashing in first. So when you have low MEVs and you want to protect your capital a little bit after massive returns, you know, seeing that there's a low MEV could help you take profits in that way. On the flip side, if you have a high MEV and you've gotten 100x, you know, maybe you're more comfortable taking 5 to 10% off the top. And don't think of this as like hard values. Think of this in relative terms, right? We have the same returns, but because we have a higher MEV and a lower risk, maybe we take a little bit less because our money is a little bit safer in that asset overall. And you know, this is something I talk about in my private group in the treehouse. So for those of you in the treehouse who are listening, typically high MEV, these are your core coins. Low MEV, these are your lotto tickets. And core versus lottery is a whole topic that I want to get into at some point on my channel. I think it's important to talk about, but I've talked about it really extensively in my private group, so they'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the distinction between core and lottery. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you wanted to kind of get a rough metric of like what the MEV of a specific token is, just go on a DEX aggregator like Pitius and start increasing the amount of sells that you do. And you'll see there's a point where the slippage shoots up. And then as you add more and more tokens, that slippage stays at that same high percent level. And it doesn't increase as quickly as it did before with the same amount of coins sold. And actually, I'm going to change this up a little bit because percent slippage, I'm going to change this color because I just thought of something. And we're going to make this pink. So percent slippage. And we're going to take this out. And we're going to do percent slippage 100%. No, I don't. 100%. So this line right here is 100% slippage. You can never actually get 100% slippage. And then let's go to the blue again. And so then we have maximum extractable value at this end. And that level is at the same level as 100% slippage. So both of these are at the same line. because you can never get 100% slippage, and you can never extract all of the maximum extractable value based on how AMMs work. Okay, this makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, so it's asymptotic at both 100% slippage and at the MEV when you're considering these two x-axes right here. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, everybody. Let me give you a little overview of everything we talked about. So we talked about, you know, what's maximum extractable value. We talked about, you know, we defined it in terms of like different LP examples. And then we saw how we can use this maximum extractable value, and we can plot it against the number of coins being sold. And we find that we get a sigmoidal curve both for the MEV, the maximum extractable value, as well as the percent slippage. We get an increase. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. The curve is asymptotic with the number of coins sold when plotted against the number of stable coins removed, as well as the percent slippage that's experienced. And the sigmoidal curve becomes asymptotic both at the 100% slippage range and at the maximum extractable value token number or dollar value amount. So this is important to understand. And then from this, what we can derive, or what we can ascertain, is that as you increase the maximum extractable value, as this line goes up, your risk goes down because there is enough money. There is more backing value. You are sharing a greater amount of money between your fellow cohorts and your ecosystem. And then the opposite is true. The lower maximum extractable value you have, the higher the risk that there is. And we can see how these different scenarios may affect your decision making, given different, given the same amount of price appreciation within a coin. And then a little Easter egg for my group, you know, high MEV tokens are a signature of core tokens, and low MEV is a signature of lottery ticket tokens. And so if you want to learn more about that, I have all of that recorded in my private group. The link to my stuff is below. Just go to memberships, pro membership, and everything's recorded. So if you wanted to like catch up on it now, like that's how you could do it. But yeah, so that's it, guys. That's everything. And I hope you enjoyed it.